Hey cruisers, it's Tim and Kathy with Cruise for Retirement, and we're here to talk about cabins on a ship and how to pick it.
Yeah, so we love balcony cabins and we love inside cabins, both.
Absolutely.
They have their pros and cons, they're different, both of them, but we want to talk about that.
Welcome aboard. We are Kathy and Tim, and we retired in 2023 and sold everything, and now we travel the world by air, land, and sea. I think the first thing we want to talk about is what really is your use of a cabin. It's kind of like a bedroom in a house.
Right, and we travel full time. So when we're not on a cruise ship, we're on land someplace for like a month at a time in a hotel or Airbnb. And that's taught us a few things about picking cruise cabins.
Absolutely.
And cruise cabins have helped us learn about picking accommodations.
So the key with either one is pick not only where you're staying, but the area around it.
Right. Think of your cabin as a bedroom in a house or one room in a hotel or apartment complex that has other public areas that you can use also.
Absolutely.
Because you can save a lot of money this way.
Right. And if you think about the use of a bedroom in a home, you're primarily there to sleep, get dressed. Once in a while you go there to escape and get a little bit of quietness from everything else around you, but it's just a room that you use.
Right, you're on a cruise to enjoy all the amenities of the cruise ship. You don't want to spend a week in your room, right? It's not to say you can't find quiet areas on the ship.
True.
Also. We're
True.
kind of experts at finding little quiet hidden areas because we don't always like to be in the crowds.
Right.
But you don't have to be hidden away in your room for that.
No,
you
you
can
don't.
find other quiet areas on a ship to get away.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about that room, right?
Okay.
So how about let's talk about sleep, because that's a big purpose of the room.
Yeah. And we love both balconies and inside cabins for this purpose. We actually never book a porthole cabin. We never book them because either we want the benefits of the inside cabin or the benefits of the balcony. And the porthole cabin, I mean, some of you probably just love them, but even if they have a nice big window, to us, the point of the balcony is the sound of the water and being able to be outside, where the point of the inside cabin is all the pros we're going to tell you about right now. And somehow a view cabin just falls in the middle in an awkward space for us. So we're not really going to talk about that cabin, but an inside cabin is dark. Dark,
dark, dark, dark, dark. And we love that when it comes to sleeping because, man, you can crash and there's no light. It's great.
Exactly. Now, when you're sleeping in a balcony cabin, we actually I know this might be a no-no, but we like to prop the door open and listen to the sound of the ocean going by.
Absolutely.
And that's the best part of a balcony cabin, always.
For us, that sound, that propping it open, definitely a positive thing for that cabin.
And the fresh air.
Yeah.
Also, of course.
Pro.
Now, the balcony cabins do have some downfalls on sleep, though. What problems have we had in a balcony?
Well, in a balcony cabin, because again, you have a door to a balcony, oftentimes you will get a whistle through that door and you really got to figure out how to prop that door closed.
Yeah, like seal it so that it really doesn't whistle. And sometimes it's just not possible. It still whistles.
You get a little bit of a whistle.
If you're kind of in a stormy situation. The other thing is, especially if you're in a stormy situation, there's a lot of rattling that's going on, whether it's related to the door or the dividers between the balconies or the furniture.
Yes.
So we've had a lot of dividers that we've wedged full of socks.
My dirty old socks shoved out there so it doesn't rattle.
But the fact is, no matter how much you fix your own rattles, you can't control the cabin above you, the cabins around you, and if they're rattling, you're not sleeping.
Right. So that is a con of that. What's a con of an interior cabin?
For sleep?
Yeah.
I don't think there is one.
I think there is one.
Okay.
And this is only on some ships, but they have an automatic night light that comes on when your partner gets up to go to the bathroom.
But that's any cabin.
It's really noticeable when you're in the dark and all of a sudden you're in the light. I'm just going to leave it at that, okay?
Okay. All right. Sounds fair. Okay. Well, let's talk about view.
Well,
It's right there. I'm going to have to say that inside cabin is just all con. It's completely all con. You
I don't know.
have
It
no
might
view.
have nice artwork. You could enjoy the view.
However, remember that's your bedroom, and you're in a giant floating city full of views with decks and lounges, and you don't need a view in your cabin.
No.
You can find a million beautiful views, and in fact, even when you're on a balcony, sometimes you have just a view of the ocean, sometimes you have a view of whatever you're nearby land-wise. So
Or you're in a port and you look over and you have a view of the ship next to you.
yeah, or worse. I mean, we've had some bad views in ports, like working ports. So it doesn't really matter. If there's a certain view you want, you might have to go on deck to get it anyways.
Right. Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the view of someone else, because it's happened a few times.
Yes.
There's window washers.
Yes.
And so when you're in port, they're washing windows and they start bright and early. So
Even when you're not in port.
it's not like you can just go free bird naked and open up the curtains and go, hi there.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know for sure if there's workers working on your railings, your windows. And in fact, you need to be aware of those notices, because if you leave that cabin door open and they start squirting water, that's a rude awakening.
Okay, welcome to our experiences at sea.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so let's move on from that. Okay.
So also though, let's say balcony cabins, you don't know for sure what kind of view you're going to get. Now,
Right.
if you book an obstructed view, you probably just having a view of lifeboats. Right?
Probably,
You probably
yeah.
really don't have any kind of view at all. So, obstructed view cabins, I don't know. Personally,
We avoid them.
I wouldn't waste my money on that.
Yeah, we
but
avoid them.
unless you just like to be outside by yourself. But even if you don't have an obstructed view, you never know for sure what you're exactly going to get, because I mean, you can really study the deck plans and that helps, but I'm just saying when you have an inside cabin, you know for sure you don't have a view. It's
You know exactly
going to
what
be
your
that
view
way.
is.
It's for sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about motion in the ocean, movement at sea. When you're in a balcony cabin, chances are you're going to be much higher on the ship. Chances are you're going to be, well, obviously on the outside of the ship. You're not going to be in the center. So it does tend to rock and roll a lot more than when you're in the middle of the ship, down a little bit lower.
And certainly there are inside cabins on the upper decks also, so you have to be aware of that. The higher you are on a ship, the more motion you're going to get. The further out towards the sides, the more motion you're going to get. The least amount of motion is the closest to the center of the ship.
Yep.
So inside cabins, by nature, of course, are down the length of the inside of the ship. You're going to get a little bit less motion than a balcony. And choose your cabin carefully from end to end if you're sensitive to that. But I would say the most motion we've ever had is on high level balconies,
Yeah.
where it
Deck 14
once
balcony
felt.
is moving.
So let's put it this way. We're booked on a Trans-Pacific in a month. We had an upgrade offer to a spa balcony on the 14th deck. We're in an inside cabin down on like 6. We kept our inside cabin because we've been on that ship on deck 14. And it wasn't even that rough, and it sounded like it was going to fall apart.
Right,
So-
and again, that's just the balcony
Yeah.
cabin rattling and the motion that you're getting
Yes.
from obviously the ocean.
And the motion doesn't really bother us as much as the rattling
Yeah.
bothers us, and those get more movement, so they rattle more.
Okay. All right. And obviously, we talked about the fact that inside cabins are in the center of the ship, and you can also get them much lower. Obviously, balcony cabins are not going to be on your lower decks. Okay. So let's talk about the size of the rooms.
Well, okay, I'm going to say one other thing about that, though, for
Okay.
noise. Because balcony cabins tend to be up more in the public areas of the ship.
The higher
The
areas.
higher decks are usually the more public areas. All this depends on your ship, of course. But you're more likely to be near a loud area. So maybe it's under you, maybe it's over you, maybe you're near the theater, maybe you're near the pool deck. So
Lido deck.
let's say even though you're not right next to the pool deck where you're not hearing the furniture scraping or anything, if you're about a fourth of the way down the ship, trust me, from experience, you can hear all the music very loudly from the pool deck.
Party pool deck, yes.
Yeah, so if you're trying to take a nap, or maybe it's nighttime and they're having some big party on deck at 11 o'clock at night, you're going to hear that if you've got your balcony deck door open, and maybe even if you don't.
But then again, you're on a cruise to enjoy and party along with everyone else, so
Exactly.
you're
You
going to be
hear
there.
it, you're not sleeping, go join.
All right, so that leads us back to the size of the rooms. Interior cabins tend to be a bit smaller.
They do. I would say the most furniture besides a bed that we've ever had was 2 very tiny chairs and a table.
Right.
That worked great for piling up our stuff.
Yeah.
Balcony cabins, even across different cruise lines, we've almost always had a couch.
Yeah, it's almost always a couch, which again is great for piling up your stuff.
But it also is great for getting away from your husband and having a little space for yourself. You
Okay.
just want to lay down and read a book.
That works too.
But anyways, check your own ship. You know,
Everything
we're talking
varies
about all
there.
cruise lines here, so it all is going to vary, everything we're saying.
Right, and so just typically,
A little more roomier.
yeah, a little
Yeah,
more roomier.
balconies. Balconies win on the roominess.
Cha-ching. All right, now let's talk cost, because that's really what it's going to boil down to.
Yeah, unless you have a great upgrade sale where you're getting a balcony for the same price as, an inside cabin or whatever, which obviously take it if you are. But if you're not and you're saving a significant chunk of change by having an inside cabin, that whole bedroom in a mansion idea comes into play.
Absolutely.
Save the money. Spend it on
Drink
specialty dining, drink package, excursions, Don't spend it on sleep.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I mean, that's what we do.
Right, and I think that's very true. Now, I do think that, again, if you're in the non-hurricane months cruising the Caribbean and it's great weather, that balcony cabin is bomb.
There are certain places where a balcony cabin is great, and I would say one of those is also Alaska Inside Passage.
Absolutely.
Alaska Inside Passage is a place where it's really worth it to splurge on that balcony so that you up your odds of seeing all the wildlife that's just swimming by beside you. The longer you're standing there staring, the bigger the chance.
Yeah.
So,
But again, overall cost, let's go with the interior cabin for the cheaper bet.
yeah, that's
Okay.
what I think. So, whichever way you do it, you really can't go wrong. I mean, you're on a cruise, so I
Enjoy.
think that the whole ship has places for you to enjoy. Just think of your cabin as your bedroom, and what do you expect out of that bedroom? If you really want to spend tons of time in your cabin, then get a balcony, and you'll really enjoy that. If you are just trying to get the cheapest cabin that you can for what you want to do so you can spend your money on other things, you can't go wrong with an inside cabin. I love them. I think they do have advantages.
Yes.
And I sleep the best in an inside cabin.
Yeah, they do. And again, I'm just going to go back with the balcony cabin. If you really think about it, the reason why you're getting the balcony cabin is so that you have this nice, beautiful little balcony overlooking the ocean. Nothing personal, but the boat has a ton of those. So, and they're free. Well, there may be a few charges here or there, but for the most part, they're all free. So, use the boat to its maximal potential. And that's using those free areas.
Yeah. So we hope this has helped as you decide what kind of cabin that you would like on your next cruise. And again, we are Tim and Kathy with Cruise Through Retirement, and we hope you will subscribe and keep watching our videos. We've got a ton of cruises coming up with ship tours, reviews, tips,
All sorts of
All
stuff.
sorts of stuff. So be sure you're subscribed and you don't miss it.
And don't forget to hit that notification bell because that'll let you know as soon as something we put out is available.
And please comment. Are you an inside cabin person or a balcony person? And in fact, if you are one of those people that likes a view cabin that's not a balcony, please tell us what are the pros of that.
And what's the cons of it?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
See you cruising.